The best time to start is right now. And the only place to start is where you are. But if you start where you are and you start now, each time you sit and write, it'll get a little bit better. It'll get a little bit more clear. And you can open that file and make it better still for the next person. Writing is magical. As we move as fast as we can to a post-literate society, it's not too late. It's not too late to do yourself a favor and to give the world a gift and to write down something that will transcend time and space.
So before we start, a little context for this session. This wasn't actually a traditional interview. It was actually a live class. Seth Godin joined us to talk about writing, not as performance or motivation, but as a practice. It's something you commit to, even when it's uncomfortable, even when the writing isn't good yet. He makes a real simple but challenging point here. That is, writer's block isn't real. What is real is the fear of bad writing. The session actually ends with us doing the thing that Seth actually cares about most, sitting down and writing. So if you've been waiting to feel ready before you start, this is a conversation that's for you.
Writing is not the same as speaking. The irony, of course, is I'm speaking to you now, sort of. We've been speaking for millions of years. Speaking happens in real time. You know what I meant? Is something that's easy for us to say. Only recently is there the idea that we can make a recording of our speaking, that it can move through time and space. Because inherently, we are used to looking someone in the eye, speaking to them, figuring out if they know what we mean, making it up as we go along. And if you read a transcript of something that you've said, you'd be amazed at how it doesn't accurately reflect the way you think you sound, because we fill in all the gaps as we're talking. You know what I said. Writing is different. Writing is designed to transcend time and space. We know that when we are writing, someone we might not know is going to read it. And we know they're going to read it sometime in the future. It's magical. It's also magical because with only 26 letters, we can conjure up 1,000,000 words and put them into 1,000,000,000,000 orders. And those combinations spent with time spent looking deeply into how to organize our thoughts have to come through with more impact than just a casual comment. Writing, and particularly writing a book, not an email, because email is that weird gap between the two. Writing a book feels permanent. Writer's block isn't real. Writer's block is invented. Writer's block is a bane, a curse, a pox, but it's not real. We invented this idea because we're afraid of bad writing. People with writer's block don't have enough bad writing. If you have enough bad writing, the good writing takes care of itself. But the reason to write for most of us, most of the time, is because we will learn something doing it. We will learn to structure our ideas. We will learn to put down in black and white, knowing it being recorded, because that is the nature of writing. We will put down in black and white things we want to stand behind. And so you don't get to say that's not what I meant, because you meant what you said and you said what you meant, and you have to get clear about it. So you don't need to hear any more talks. You don't need any more motivation. You don't need any tips or tricks or know what kind of pencil to use. You simply need to make a commitment, and the commitment is to a practice. The practice of writing down something that is worth learning, something that is worth teaching, something that is worth sharing. What each of us has is the opportunity to make things better. And we can do that by turning on a light for other people. And we do that by learning something well enough that we're happy to put it down in black and white with a keyboard to be shared across time and space. You do have something to say. You've been brainwashed to believe you don't, but you do. And the best time to start is right now. And the only place to start is where you are. But if you start where you are and you start now, each time you sit and write, it'll get a little bit better. It'll get a little bit more clear. And you can open that file and make it better still for the next person. Writing is magical. As we move as fast as we can to a post-literate society, it's not too late. It's not too late to do yourself a favor and to give the world a gift and to write down something that will transcend time and space. Thanks for listening. Go make your ruckus.
Speaking is different than writing. And so he doesn't want us to speak. He wants us to practice. And so today, this session is going to be practicing. And so we are going to have a very unique opportunity to practice with other people. And we're going to start now. So rather than listening to him talk for a while, we're going to basically do a couple fun things. Number one, we're going to have a little bit of time reading some of the pieces of here about sort of some of the exercises here that he talks about in his new book, The Practice. We're going to talk a little bit about some of these things here. So there's an excerpt there. And so while we're kind of pulling that one up here, so everyone should go ahead and pull this up. We're going to have a little bit of time to read. And then the exercise is going to be is that all of us are going to have a few minutes to write. And then what you're going to do is you're going to actually share this with each other. Like we're going to share this with everyone in some small groups here to actually tell each other something. You're going to write something in permanence and then share it with each other so that you can do it. We're going to practice today is sort of what it is. And so I figured, we might as well follow the man's words and wisdom and sort of do what it is.
Hi, I'm Brian Miller. I'm an author, speaker, coach, and consultant on human connection. But before I did that, I was a full-time magician for 10 years. I started off doing magic at little backyard barbecues when I was 12 or 13 years old, and eventually built my career into corporate and exclusive event entertainment. Got to travel the world across 5 continents, and it was pretty cool. It's an origami card box here, something I've been working on in quarantine. I'm not a magician anymore, although I do still dabble in the art of magic, of course. Now, the thing is, I never wanted to be a magician. I loved magic. I loved doing magic. I loved getting the reactions from magic, but I never wanted to be a magician. That's not what I would have said if you had asked me. I wanted to be a rock star. I wanted to be a cartoonist at one point. And then one day, I was a magician. I don't know how it happened, a little gig here, a little gig there, and suddenly I was making a living as a full-time magician. In fact, I had a decision point. Do I want to go to grad school for philosophy or pursue magic and do card tricks for a living? And I chose card tricks over a PhD. And I'm so glad that I did because it led me to the unlikely career I've now had as an author, speaker, and all these other things. The point is I developed a practice of doing magic before I became a magician. Doing magic made me a magician. I didn't become a magician and then start doing magic. And that is, of course, what Seth Godin's new book, The Practice, is all about, shipping creative work. We take risks. We put ourselves into the world. We hope that what we do will connect. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. That's not the point. The point is that we keep moving forward and we keep doing our work. This book from Seth Godin, it's linchpin for creatives. In my opinion, this is his best work, and I'm so happy I read it. I hope you do too.
So what we're going to do today is we're going to take just a couple minutes here and start by sort of reading some of what Seth shares here in The Practice. And again, this is the excerpt that we have for us today. The idea behind this a little bit is just to sort of to read some of the pieces of it. In particular, you can read it all. This is just an excerpt. And again, I'd recommend reading as much or as little as you want. But a couple of things I'll share with you. There's sort of a section here about in section 9 that he shared here about this is art. And I think what he shares a lot is this idea of the same thing is like, are you an artist? And I think in the same way is, are you a writer? Are you an author? And it turns out that like, if you're willing to commit to the practice of writing, you are a writer. If you're willing to commit to the practice of authoring things, you are an author. And I think it's a really great way to sort of think about things a little bit here in this exercise. This practice idea of shipping creative work is really what is the secret here. And we're going to kind of follow what his lead was, is sort of say, if you want to get better at the practice of shipping creative work, you got to create creative work and then ship it. And so that's what the exercise today is going to be all about. So just take a couple minutes here and read some of the excerpts here. In particular, I'd recommend you read section 9 here, which is an interesting one, as well as section 10, if you wanted to read it. And then feel free to read as much as you want. And then we're going to sort of do our 10-minute writing session before we break into some small groups and actually ship something today to get in the practice of writing in the illustrious words of Mr. Godin. So take a minute here to read, and then in about 5 minutes, we'll sort of talk about your specific writing assignment. Then we'll do some writing, and then we're going to share and ship some creative work today so that you can get in the practice of creating work. Remember, speaking is not the same as writing.
And then the world says you can't. The world says you're not the right age. The people of your generation aren't entitled to do what you want to do. Stand up and fight. And then the world says you don't know enough. So go learn something more. And then the world says your work, it's too complicated. So make it longer, make it worth reading. The world says things are going to get worse. Stand up and fight, make things better. The world says you need to spend more time on social media, swiping and liking and being liked. And then you can say, I'm going to do work that matters instead. The world says we're surrounded by gloom and doom and we need you to make it gloomier and doomier. And you say, wait, just wait. Maybe I could make things better. The world says we should take because everyone else is taking. But we realize that maybe we could contribute instead. Because when we contribute, we make things better for everyone. Stand up and fight. Stand up and fight for your privilege, your right, your ability to make things better, to shine a light, to open a door, to contribute. You can learn more. You can lead more. Each of us can. Stand up and fight.